Hi, I'm Don Morenzi. I'm the general manager of the Railroad Museum at Ardenwood, and I'd like to tell you a little bit about our group and how it formed. It actually formed when a railroad historian found this literal wreck of a railroad car being used as a goat pen out in the California desert. And it had been used as a goat pen for about 50 years. Originally, it was a caboose built in Newark around 1880 and ran on a railroad, a narrow gauge railroad between Alameda and Santa Cruz. It was the caboose on the very last narrow gauge train on that railroad before it was converted to the standard gauge. After that, the car went out to Nevada during one of the gold and silver rushes, served on a railroad there till around World War I, and then was sold and used as a shed on a ranch and later became a goat pen. This is caboose number 47 from the South Pacific Coast Railroad, which is the railroad that ran between Alameda and Santa Cruz. In the mid-1970s, right before America's bicentennial, a lot of localities were doing special projects to commemorate that. So one of the local historians here, Bruce McGregor, who had written a book on the South Pacific Coast Railroad, he got together with some local historians and a local history group, the Mission Peak Historical Society, and they raised the funds to buy the goat pen and move it to Newark. When it arrived, a group was formed called the Society for the Preservation of Carter Railroad Resources, which was a play on both the Carter brothers who built the car and the initials of the South Pacific Coast Railroad. For the first 4 years, basically every part of this car was photographed and measured in basically an archaeological attempt to eventually restore the car for display at what would become Ardenwood Historic Farm. As part of getting ready to restore this car, a set of wheels was located on a flat car up in the Sierras, and that car was donated to us. The original intent was just to take the wheels and the metal parts to use to restore this, but we took the entire flat car, and from that came the idea of maybe actually building a railroad at Ardenwood Historic Farm. Since there are no existing South Pacific Coast locomotives, the idea was to replicate one of the branch lines that was only ever operated by using horses to pull the train cars. And that's how the railroad operation began here at Ardenwood Historic Farm. We opened with half a mile of track, and we restored that one flat car. And from there, the railroad has expanded. More cars were acquired. The car barn was constructed, and restoration has occurred on a number of cars, but so far not for number 47. Part of that was because we knew to restore a car like this, we needed to have it indoors in a nice facility. So we delayed restoration until we had a facility where we could house the car and do it correctly. And our next fundraising project will be raising money to restore this car and being able to show this to the public as part of the local region's heritage. All of what I just described has been done by volunteers. We're all part of a nonprofit public benefit group, and it's taken us 40 years, but this is what you can do when people are interested, and we appreciate any interest you might have. You can find us at SPCRR.org online. We also have a Facebook group, and if you'd like to join us as an active volunteer, there's all sorts of different talents that we can use, and also you can learn a lot of things maybe you want to pursue as a hobby. So come out and visit and come out and join us. Thank you.
My name is Andrew Carey. I am the curator for the Railroad Museum at Ardenwood. My job is to protect our collection and to decide how to conserve and restore it. This is a learning process. We do not know how these cars were actually assembled. We know how they were built, what they were built to, but they've gone through so much revision since then that they're not what they were when we started. This is a 20-ton, 28-foot boxcar that was last used in the 1960s. It is pretty tall. It has really strong bows at the bottom. These two boxcars behind it are the exact same boxcars, but they are 10-ton cars because they were not adapted in the 1960s to hold more freight. This is the nature of cars and objects as a process rather than as an individual thing. We have to choose a point in the process to do restoration at. It's an interesting challenge, and it's one we find when we open the cars, they are not what we thought. Cars as a process involve more than just the way they look now. They involve planning on how to develop and restore a car. This car behind me is the Oakland horse car number 2. It was built in the 1880s to run in Oakland on the street. It's in need of restoration, and we're currently in the process of planning it. Each of our cars that we restore has a manager in charge of that car whose job it is to determine what work needs to be done. We have a restoration report that determines what and how we're going to restore our car at what point in time in its process. The car behind this car is Southern Pacific 1010. It was completely restored in 1999 and has already weathered to the point where it needs almost a full restoration on some parts of it to catch up. Again, this is a car that's in a process. The process went from being restored to decaying, we have to restore it again. It's sort of a semi-never-ending task.
Hello, I'm John Goldy. I'm the current track manager of the Railroad Museum at Ardenwood. And sitting behind me is our tool car. Many people ask us about our tool car. Why do you have this car? And the question goes back to when we were working on the track, we would have a hammer or a spike maul and we would need something. We'd spend all our day going back to the car barn to fetch the next tool. So we stopped track maintenance, we built our tool car. Now we carry all of our tools with us, jacks, hammers, rakes, iron, spike pullers. And by having everything together, it's greatly helped our efficiency and it's enabled us to not only maintain the track, but extend the track, as you'll see later today. The most common passenger question we've gotten over our past 45 years is, why is the ride so short? And so what we focused on was, how can we extend the track and bring it all the way out to the back of the park, tripling our visitor experience. We go from about a half mile to almost a 2-mile round trip. And this allows the park visitors to see so much more of this 200-acre oasis in the middle of the city. They get to view the orchards and pastures. They travel through the mixed forest, and most importantly, from a railroader's perspective, they pass the car barn where they get to see all the restored rail cars on display outside for the public view.
Hi, my name is David Waterman, and I'm the Chief Mechanical Officer here for the Railroad Museum at Ardenwood. I participated in the track construction project of our new reverse loop over the past couple of years. My primary contribution was the initial surveying of the track, which involved wandering around in the woods, wondering, gee, where do we want to put the track? The loop that we ended up building is about 1,200 feet long, the extension of the loop. After negotiating trees and roads and all the various land details that we needed to avoid, we established a path that we found to be reasonable and easy to lay. One of the challenges we did encounter while building the loop was a massive patch of poison oak, which has sort of become a bit of a joke in our group because I got this monster case of poison oak from being out there surveying the track, which was sort of funny. During the course of the pandemic, a lot of people were stuck at home and wondering, looking for an activity, something to do, and so this was a great one. We had a lot of our members were able to come out, work outdoors, contribute to the track construction process. We had about nine people at most, but the average crew was about 4 people in size, and we could be outside doing our various activities contributing to the project. Another one of the challenges we had was a bald eagle's nest that's located in a very close vicinity to the track, and they are a federally protected animal and all that, so we had to keep a distance from it during its critical nesting period, which definitely added some interesting scheduling challenges because we had to work in certain areas but not in others. We've since passed that really sensitive period, so now we're able to work on the track and ultimately operate the track, which has been quite enjoyable. Another kind of interesting thing about this project is there was a lot of our youngest members in the organization working on it. The track crew was over half people under 30 years old, and that's something that I've personally been very grateful to have within this group is the bringing in of younger members, teaching them the skills, exposing them to the various things that we do here, and then trusting them with a level of authority. I'm 25 years old, and I became the CMO about a year ago here. Well, you may have noticed that we're standing behind the back end of a steam locomotive here. This is the Argent Lumber Company, former Argent Lumber Company number 5. It's a Lima Locomotive Works 262 that was built in 1910. And it just arrived here at the park about a month and a half ago. It's privately owned by 2 of our members here, and it's something that we're hoping to restore and ultimately run here at the park for the enjoyment of everybody that comes here to visit. This type of project is a huge team effort, no matter how you spin it. There's a lot to do on this sort of thing. It involves skills from all the different areas, if you will. There's boiler work, there's machining, there's painting, all of it. And this is a really good opportunity to engage other people, to engage our fellow members, to bring in other members, utilize outside resources, again, in the spirit of this being a big team project. And that's one of the things we're hoping to do is bring in other people from out there and hopefully use this as a way to captivate some interest in what we do here at Ardenwood as a museum, and that may trickle into other departments of what we do. If anyone out there in the world is interested in participating in this project, we do want to hear about it. It's a very exciting thing, and it's an opportunity that is quite fun to participate in if you get the chance to. So please, if you're interested in participating in our museum activities in any way, be it track, equipment restoration, research, you name it, special events, serving cookies, anything, you can go visit our website, which is SPCRR.org, just online, or you can go to our Facebook page, which you can see a lot of pictures of our various restoration and track projects that go along as they occur. So please come and check it out, and hopefully we'll see you out here at some point.
My name is Bruce Sorrell, and I volunteer here at the SPCRR because of my love for railroads and trains that I inherited from my father. My father was a rail fan starting in the 1930s, and I grew up a rail fan, standing on the front seat of a car looking for smoke. So during the late 40s, when I was about 8 years old, my father heard rumors that a locomotive had gone off the rails 3.5 miles east of Colfax, which was called Cape Horn. And he wanted to see if there was any bits and pieces left from a long time ago. So we had a friend that lived in that area, and he told us how to get there. There was a pack trail for hauling supplies into Iowa Hill. It was the gold mines and stuff, and it was still there. It starts in Colfax. So we hiked in from Colfax to the foot of Cape Horn, right next to the North Fork of the American River, and we looked all through everything. And the only thing we really found was his spike mall. My dad looked at it, and felt it, and said, "Well, I think it's too heavy to take back." But I tugged on my dad's arm, and I said, "Can I have it?" And he says, "If you can pack it out of here, you can have it." So I packed it 3.5 miles back to Colfax. And just recently I put a new handle on it. That was the original handle on it when I found it. So now we're going to use it in this ceremony to drive these spikes.
Welcome, everybody, to the SPCRR Gold Spike event. It's great to have so many members, volunteers, park staff, family, and friends in attendance today. In case you do not know me, I'm John Goldie, the leader of the track crew. I'd like to start off with introductions of the regular dedicated members of the track crew and also share some highlights of our most recent accomplishment. So, who should we start with? Let's see. Let's start with David Waterman. David! Come up and join me for a moment. Thank you. David's our chief surveyor and the one who located the route that we'll be traveling on shortly back to the front. He's also our metal fabricator and highly skilled at torch work. David is awesome at general track work and pushes us all to 1/4-inch precision on tie placement that you will see today as we travel down the track. He's also a master tractor operator, but has recently been challenged to this title. True. David is our CMO and also a member of the operations crew. Lastly, David's can-do approach is a motivator for all of us. Thank you, David, for all you do. Let's see. Who should we pick on next? Next is Bobby Goldie. Bobby is also great at general track work and really enjoys spiking. Bobby now rivals David with advanced tractor skills and box work. A special skill is Bobby's eye for aligning track. He's able to spot dips and tilts in the track to the 1/2-inch precision. So as you enjoy that smooth ride today out the new track, tip your hat to Bobby. Bobby, wait, we got 2 more. Don't run enough. Bobby has the award for the largest loads of brush cleanup with the tractor, and he really likes our new debris rake tractor attachment. When you look at the area out here, you can kind of see how wonderful it's been cleaned up. Bobby's my right hand and always is pushing us for one more task before the day is done. Thank you, Bobby. Now, to Steve Roscone. Thanks, Steve. Steve is another all-around track expert, having worked on many different railroads over the years. He's also our point switch expert. He provides installation direction, CAD drawings, and fine-tunes the throws. The new spring switch is his pride and joy. However, we did teach Steve about stub switches. That was something new to him. Steve has a special ability in being able to salvage a vast array of supplies, tools, and even large equipment. He's also donated many needed parts, which included coupler links and switch plates. Lastly, Steve is an awesome mentor to me and the rest of the crew. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you.
Master dumpster diver.
Master dumpster diver, yeah. Okay, for that wisecrack, guess who's next? Next is Bruce Laurel.
Already been up?
That, you get to come up again.
Wow, double whammy.
We are fortunate to have so many track experts on the crew, and he's been on the track crew since, I think it's 2004?
Yeah.
Got it, at Ardenwood. Bruce performs all sorts of track work tasks for us. He especially likes spiking, and he rarely misses. When he does, we all kind of... Bruce also likes bolt work, and not only installs them perfectly and very tight, but is also an expert at getting rusted or spinning bolts undone when needed. In his spare time, he even refurbishes usable old track bolts and nuts with a wire wheel, taps, and dies to better than new condition. I think there's something about bolts you like. We go to Bruce
It's
for
unprintable.
We go to Bruce for tool repairs and other tough questions. Bruce is also unstoppable ballast hamper, and he's the team's muscle. He's also an advisor on tool use and safety to us, but to me, the standout item is that he is an inspiration to all of us on what is possible. It's really hard to keep up with Bruce. Thank you, Bruce.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Nick Louie. Come on, Nick. Nick's a newer member to the crew and is now well-versed in general track work. Nick has sharpened his skills over this project. There's been a difference between beginning and end.
Yep. Amen.
He's also now skilled at rail cutting and drilling. Nick is awesome with the ballast spreading, and he runs Katie at that perfect rock drop rate. Not too much here and enough over there. So very good on that, on the throttle. Nick's a member of our operating crew and is also a brakeman on today's excursions. Thank you, Nick. And our newest member of the track crew is Cal Schweffler. Come on up, Cal. Cal recently moved to the area and jumped right in. Cal is quickly gaining track construction skills and sets spikes and drives them really well now. He's also becoming an expert at rail cutting and drilling. Welcome, Cal. It's great to have you on the crew.
Thank you.
What's really great about this crew is how well they all work together. Everyone looks out for the others, and I am extremely happy to report that our first aid kit stayed closed for the entire project. Hats off to the crew for working safely and around heavy items and equipment. The biggest issue we have on the crew is who gets to drive the next spike, or who gets to sweep the track for that final polished look. I'll come back to tie that in about why sweeping is so important. So transitioning from the team, I'd like to talk next about the visible and the invisible. The visible is easy. 850 feet of new track was built with 50-pound rail on 6-foot ties, which is accurate for the original South Pacific Railroad that crossed the farm. The 850 feet included 1,700 feet of rail. That's over 14 tons that were hand positioned. 425 ties placed to that 1/4 inch precision as David was watching. He'd let us know too. That one. 1,700 spikes, all driven by hand. Over 250 bolts and nuts. So how many wrench turns was that? And here comes the big one. 200 tons of ballast was applied. Part of this is the first invisible item, because working with rock requires a lot of shovel work. And it is always too much over there, not enough over here. except when Nick is dropping the gravel. And that's the easy part. Next is the tamping, getting a solid base under the ties and general compaction. You would think that is it, but no. Now comes in the leveling of the track and Bobby with his half-inch dip corrections, as we need to jack up the track to remove dips and tilts with the tamping bars come out again. Then more material and more tamping. Maybe this is why the broom work is liked so much, because it means the tamping is done. Well, that's good for the new track, but the crew did more. 4 wood crossings were constructed. Not only was this putting in around 320 8-inch bridge nails, and those are about this long, but also entailed road work for safe and smooth crossings for people and vehicles, as well as the trains. To get the route ready, the crew cleared a large wood pile and the park relocated a pasture fence. Great teamwork. General area cleanup was completed, pruning back bushes and trees where needed, and the removal of dead and or fallen branches which had accumulated. To complete the balloon track, we opened the existing main line, inserted a number 7 spring switch. This was also a major project in itself, as it required rebuilding another 75 feet of existing main line to install the new switch components, which one of the items in the switch, I believe, is the oldest rail on the railroad, a frog from 1879. Who can stop there? The crew also inserted a midway switch that will allow for a future expansion to reach the farmyard one day, accomplishing another of the major goals set forth in the park's land use plan, providing passengers with a destination. A quick summary on the invisible. Behind the scenes, a huge number of tasks were completed but rarely heard about. Lots of hours of planning, meetings, reports, and keeping everyone informed on our project status. Acquiring the needed supplies and tools. And a very big one, locating, acquiring, loading, transporting, offloading, and storing of the acquired rails and ties. We got a few extra ties, as you can see over there. Many volunteer hours and donations made this all happen. Several others in attendance today helped out on those tasks, and I thank you all for that help. Transitioning, not to be invisible, are the enablers. A thank you to all our financial donors of large donations that allowed us to purchase the ties, the rails, the rock, the wood, and the switch points. And I'd like to especially acknowledge the following. Major runaround track campaign donors, George and Karen Thagard, Eric Brockner, Bob Brown, Barbara Colt, Bruce Laurel, and John Houghton. John Houghton also donated a generator and a Gator ATV. The Gator has been great use in delivering supplies and crew transport. Thank you, John. We also had the Amazon Track Crew wish list item, and a thank you to the members and supporters that provided us with items including flashlights, power cords, tools, shovels, a chain binder, the first aid kit, and more. If you missed out donating, here's a commercial, to the Track Crew wish list, the list has recently been updated. So now, let's get the job done. Time for the final spikes to go in. We're using a special spike maul over here that Bruce found 75 years ago downslope from the track near Cape Horn along the Central Pacific right-of-way with a broken handle. And we have the handle here. His dad allowed him to keep the spike maul if he carried the 10-pound head the 2 miles back to the car. Oh, 3 miles. But it was longer. And 10 pounds is heavy, right? You were probably what? This
8 years old.
8 years old. He packed it out, he restored it, replaced the handle, and it's here today to put in the final spikes for the reverse loop track extension. We'll have 3 silver spikes and 1 gold spike to drive today. I'd like to ask Cal and Nick to start us with silver spike number 1.
Because no one can compare us to anything yet.
Where are we going? You got over. I'll show you over here.
We should be safe.
All right, we'll move the car.
Video.
Thank you.
All right, yeah, it's been a couple months, everybody.
Yeah, it has been a couple months, so. You can switch off the Cal.
Have fun.
He did the hard part.
Finish it. Nope.
Awesome. Next, I'd like to, thanks guys. Next, I'd like to ask up David and Steve to put in spike number 2. That one. This one's greasy.
Okay.
Okay. Ooh, it's. Next up, Bobby and I will drive in silver spike number 3. He says I put him in 2 straight up and down.
Yep.
You might go in first, sure.
All right. Haven't used this one before. All right.
Final spike, the coveted gold spike. We'd like Bruce to drive in the final spike on this large project.
Watch me miss.
I'm trying to put up the pressure because he never misses.
Pressure.
You want to set it for Bruce?
Sure.
So you want angle on it?
Yes.
I'll let Bobby do it.
Bobby
Where-
does a good job.
Here?
Yes, that one, please.
There you go.
Thank you, Bill.
Whip.
Yep.
Awesome. The new track will greatly expand the current visitor experience with a longer ride. Park visitors will get to see more of the park, including the pasture orchard, the mixed woods, and all the sights along the way. And also to observe restored rail cars in display as you're enjoying today this beautiful collection outdoors. It answers the most common passenger question: why was the ride so short? It'll also be great for special event and offers limited mobility visitors a way to experience and enjoy so much more of this beautiful park. Now, I'd like to present the track crew with their own individual gold spikes for the exceptional effort that they provided over the 5-month, basically working every Sunday and a day in between to complete this in 5 months. If I could have the track crew come up once again. I'll trade you for the hammer. A gold spike for David. And a handshake.
Oh, yep.
A gold spike for Steve. Handshake. A gold spike for Bruce.
Thank you, Stu.
Yeah. A gold spike for Nick. And a handshake. A gold spike for Cal. Thank you. Thank you. And for Bobby. We also have souvenir magnets to commemorate the day. There's either the passenger train or the maintenance away train. So come up and see us, and we'll hand out a souvenir for today. And you guys are done. You can sit down.
Go away. We're done.
You me out.
Want to do a photo?
John, Mr. Goldie, come here.
Not done.
I want to let you know you're not forgotten either. we know. Anyway, this is for John because of all the wonderful work he's done. He's kept us all interested. He's kept everybody working. It's been a great job. So this is your achievement award presented to John Goldie in recognition for his work on the new SPCRR track expansion reverse loop project. John acquired the materials, planned the work days, raised donations for the materials, worked countless hours on this project. John also developed a tool car which made workdays much more efficient. In honor of this work, the new track expansion reverse loop has been officially named Goldie Loop.
All right.
Yeah, picture.
Go, John.
Sure. We have a couple more comments. Yep.
About 20 years ago, when I was doing most of the track maintenance, Trudy Frank presented me with this fellow. It's your turn.
I get the coveted. It's a rock shovel. Thank you, John. Let's see, where are we? I'm gonna like to invite John Aircamp up for also a short presentation.
A few members have asked me about my suit I'm wearing today. Well, I originally bought this suit to get married in. I was married on a steamer railroad, 3-foot gauge, not far from here. But more recently, I wore this suit to participate in the 150th anniversary of the Golden Spike at Promontory Summit, Utah. While I was at Promontory Summit, Utah, all participants were given a Golden Spike tie tack, which I am wearing today. We've seen the Golden Spike, we've seen the Silver Spike. I'm here to present something in bronze. I'd like David to come up and John to stay up here. Today, at no cost to the organization, as my donation to the group, I am presenting these gentlemen and everyone here today with a bronze lapel pin commemorating this event. So simultaneously, the very first 2 bronze pins are going to go to John Goldie and David Waterman.
Excellent.
Thanks. Here's the bronze.
Awesome.
And because you can't see the pin, I will show you what it looks like on paper, and everyone will get one today. This is the new design, the debut of
That
the
is
design.
awesome. Awesome. The date, it has the date, our name, the Goldie loop, and the Waterman switch stand.
That's cool.
Excellent.
Thank you for your hard work. Very appreciated.
Thank you, John.
See what it looks like. You can pass it around.
All right. In closing, a special thank you to Jackie for her fundraising coordination and also publicizing the track crew's progress in Hotbox and today's awesome event planning. And at 12:30, we will reboard, head out over the new track. David's going to go slow, and head back to Ardenwood. Thank you all for attending.
Hi, my name is Brooke Rother. I am right now the president of SPCRR, and just a little bit of history about us. The original plans for this group were to just restore one railroad car that was found in the desert in Nevada, and take that and restore it and put it on a short piece of track in front of City Hall in Newark, California. And we happened to be at the right place at the right time, and the first president of the group was Shirley Sisk, who was a councilwoman in Newark. And so she had pull, and so we pushed with her at the forefront to be able to use part of the area here in this park for a railroad that represents this area, because this area started out and grew originally with a railroad just like this. Same kind of equipment. In fact, a lot of this equipment was built in the 1880s that we use, and we have restored it, and we actually recreate some new equipment that we use all the old patterns and parts from the original cars. So down through the years, we've had a lot of hurdles to take care of. We started out with about 400 feet of track, and that was the ride back and forth. And that was one of the reasons that I built this hand car. This is a replica, but this is built out of 3 pictures that they had in a book about the SPCRR railroad that was here and was in direct competition with the SP railroad. And so this thing is still here after all those years, and I can't tell you how many people have ridden on it, but it's always fun to watch. Everybody who gets on has a really good time, and it's real easy to take care of and have fun on. The railroad is all built by hand, not really because we want to, but it's what we could afford on our budget. We had people who were capable of doing it and willing to, so it worked out really nicely, and people can be really proud of the work that they did here. It's a very positive thing. I've worked here 40 years at the railroad park, and one of our long-term goals was always to have a steam engine, because that's the era that we represent. And we want people to be able to have something that they may not understand, but it's easy to figure out. And when you go and see the trains down on the railroad, the main tracks, you know how big they are? This is big, but not huge like that. So you can get up close to it, and it's fun. It's fun to ride, and it's fun to be around. Steam engines have their own take on life.
Personality.
Yeah, their own personality, exactly. It's their own personality. So it makes it a fun thing. This is the only locomotive built by the Lima Locomotive Works in this particular size and wheel arrangement. Within a short time, we should have this operational.
I'm Sonia Gomez, supervising naturalist here at Ardenwood Historic Farm, one of the parks in the East Bay Regional Park District. And I personally am incredibly excited about the new track extension, because it's going to add a lot to an already incredibly special experience here at Ardenwood. We really are all about community. We have parents bringing their kids to ride the train. They themselves came as kids to ride the train as well, and we're really excited to bring this new experience to their families. The train here at Ardenwood Historic Farm creates an incredible journey both through the past, so we represent 1890 to 1930. It is a historic farm, so you're journeying through the past, but you're also journeying through agricultural fields. You might see cows out to pasture, and now with this new extended track, you also get to go through some oak woodland. You might even see the bald eagles, or at least their nest here at Ardenwood, which is really exciting. So it's a fantastic experience. If you're hoping to come ride the train here at Ardenwood, it is open through our historic season, which runs April through November. On Thursdays, Fridays, and Sundays, you can get the full historic experience. I would be in costume on those days, and you can ride the train, visit the house. Other days of the week, we have our farm animals and all the other good stuff that's going on. My personally favorite season here at Ardenwood, though, is the fall, and we do have annual events. So the first Saturday and Sunday in October is our Harvest Festival. You can come pick some popcorn to take home or flint corn for decoration. We also have the annual Rail Fair, which is actually SPCRR's event, but we co-host it with them, and that's Labor Day weekend every year. Come on out and see not only the train ride, but engines and train models and all sorts of good train-related stuff that weekend each year. For more information on the park and what you can do when you come visit us, You can check out our website, Google for Ardenwood Historic Farm. You can go to the district site, ebparks.org. And Ardenwood is also on Facebook or Instagram, so you can find us there.
I'm Ira Bletz, Regional Interpretive and Recreation Services Manager with East Bay Regional Park District. But before I took that job for many, many years, I was the supervising naturalist here at Ardenwood and had the pleasure of working with SPCRR as they provided important service and education to the public coming here. As a museum, they capture railroad history, local railroad history that most of the people visiting Ardenwood know nothing about. And today we're here to dedicate a new loop, something that I've wanted to see since I first got here to Ardenwood, to extend the track for the ride, but also to bring the train a little closer to the farmyard where most of the visitors are. And that way we can connect the public with the train and the stories that the train has to tell.
There we go. We have our other noisemaker.
All right, everyone, welcome. Good afternoon. So happy to have you all here with us to celebrate this really, really exciting new train track that is built and operated by SPCRR, so the Society for the Preservation of Carter Railroad Resources. Let me read there a little. They're a 501c3 nonprofit museum dedicated to preserving and restoring Carter Brothers built wooden railroads that were built in Newark and other Bay Area locations in the 1800s. So just one of our many partners here at Ardenwood Historic Farm, part of the East Bay Regional District, that really makes this place so special. I'm Sonia Gomez. I'm supervising naturalist here. I've been here for about 2.5 years now. And I will say, one of the things that first struck me when I started at Ardenwood is the amazing community we have here. And we're showing that today, right, with all of you here today. Thank you again for being here. I do want to call out a few special members of our community. So thank you to Mayor Lily May for being here, to Councilmember Raj Salwan, thank you. Councilmember Rick Jones, thank you for being here and supporting. We have Vice Mayor Kang here as well. And then from the East Bay Regional Park District, Director Beverly Lane, thank you for being here. And Director Cullen Coffey, thank you as well. We also have the amazing community of visitors, right, that come to this park, and it always amazes me. Well, it shouldn't amaze me, but it does amaze me. The generations that come year after year, generation after generation, to enjoy this space. It is such a special place for so many people. And, you know, it's parents bringing their kids to ride the train. They remember riding the train when they were little. And now we have this extended track loop that's going to make it even more special that we're really excited to bring you on today. Now, we have lots of other partners working on the operations side as well, part of our Ardenwood community. City of Fremont as the owners of this place. And thank you, City of Fremont, for letting the East Bay Regional Park District run Ardenwood. Love it. And definitely all the people involved here, super passionate, super dedicated. It's another thing that makes this place so special. probably known so much so as SPCRR staff and volunteers. So I'm really excited to introduce our first speaker, John Goldie, who really owns that dedication and hard work. John has been an active SPCRR volunteer for 12 years. He's also on the board, he's the track manager, and he really led this whole project. And I will tell you, it was maybe a month after I started here that we went on a train ride, and John looked at me and he said, hey, we want to do this thing, and he had pictures and maps of the train loop that they wanted to do the extension for, and I knew that with John on board, it would get done well, so it was really an honor to help get the approvals to make that happen. So he, listen, this is impressive, coordinated the extending of the project, had 5 to 7 volunteers here, 2 to 3 days a week, and that was in addition to the regular maintenance they were doing on the track that already existed, right, to build this new track. They squished it into a time period when our bald eagles were not active on their nest, so that we could protect the resources here in the wildlife. Very impressive. He also did a lot of the fundraising, so it was a $25,000 project, and a lot of that came from John. Thank you. And so in honor of that, because of your amazing management and leadership, SPCRR has named the new track extension the Goldie Loop. So thank you, John.
Thank you for the nice introduction. Good afternoon and welcome. The nonprofit Society for the Preservation of Carter Railroad Resources. Our name is longer than our train, as you can see, aka the SPCRR, welcomes you to today's ribbon cutting ceremony for the dedication of Ardenwood's extended railroad ride. The new ride will greatly expand the park visitor experience and see more of the park's diverse environment, plants, and nature. It's wonderful to have city, park, SPCR members, family, and other guests present today. A special thank you to Ira, to Sonia, and to Lynn for their assistance and support on this project. For the past 45 years, the SPCRR has been restoring historic wooden railroad cars, some of which operated on the tracks you saw out front when you entered the park. We also provide interpretation and operate the railroad experience for park visitors and, more importantly, school groups during the week. Our train today is being pulled by one of our small locomotives using open-air picnic cars, as you see behind me. They are converted from century-old flat cars. The oldest car in today's train was built in Newark 135 years ago. These cars represent the 1875 to 1910 time period when picnic cars took the community to local picnic areas on Sundays for recreation. Our most common passenger question has always been, why is the ride so short? So with this expansion, we actually triple the ride experience. With additional vistas of the park's pastures and orchard area, we pass through the mixed forest and then past the railroad yard, where you'll get to today see other historic railroad cars on display and under restoration. The track expansion project was completed in 5 months by our 6 regular volunteers who volunteered over 1,000 hours to build the track, and we drove in 1,700 spikes, all by hand.
That deserves a round of
The cost of the materials for the extension was more than $25,000, and it came from donations, so we thank our community. In closing, we're looking forward to restoring more historic railroad cars and also providing a step back in time for the park visitors to enjoy the picnic trains of the past. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to welcome up next Ira Letts, who is one of our interpretive and recreational regional managers at the district. And he was a long-time supervising naturalist here at Ardenwood. And in many ways, the track extension today was made possible by all the amazing groundwork that Ira did here in his time. So I'm going to pass it to him for that broader context.
Thank you, Sonia. And glad to see so many of you out here today. I was here for a very long time as a supervising naturalist. And had a wonderful experience, and the partnerships between the city and the railroad group and the other partners that make Ardenwood work, kind of like a dance-it-yourself nutcracker sometimes. But on its best days, it coordinates itself very well. And it's very exciting to have the SPCRR here, or the Railroad Museum at Ardenwood, which I think people can understand a little better. Ardenwood has many stories to tell. Stories of the Patterson family, stories of the immigrants who worked this land, stories of the native people that were here before everyone else. And with the help of the railroad and the other partners and the park staff, the naturalists and the student aides, those stories are able to be told. And when people visit Ardenwood, it's intended to be an experience, to give them a place to step back in time a little bit, to enjoy something different than their day-to-day life. And the railroad is a solid partner in presenting those stories. Most of the people coming here probably know very little about the railroad history of this area and the connection between the tracks that are just outside the park and this farm. And so with the railroad's help, we can tell those stories to the people who come here and broaden their understanding of this local area and all of the people over generation after generation that contributed to making this area what it is today. So I really want to thank SPCRR for doing this. I think it makes the experience for the visitors greatly improved, and it gives a chance to tell even more stories. So thank you.
So without further ado, it's my honor to bring up Mayor Lily May, and she'll have a few words, and then we'll be cutting the ribbon.
So good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. This is a wonderful tribute to connecting the past to the present and for sharing the lessons of the importance of transportation and how it's brought our communities together. For those who don't know, I grew up in Philadelphia, right near the end of the main line, the Transcontinental Railroad. So when I was a child, I rode the railroad all the time, and whether it's to New York, DC, and also in different parts. But we wouldn't be able to have these experiences and to continue them for our families and for the next generation if it weren't for the support of SJRCC and all the members here, especially East Bay Regional Parks. It has been critical for us to have this connection to our children and to understand how this helped cultivate the communities that now surround this area. And as we move forward, we're looking forward to this extension. I know that my child, like many others, I'm sure, were fans of Thomas the Tank Engine when they were little and had been here for the haunted train rides and other experiences. And to be able to see this experience expand and in partnership with East Bay Regional Parks and also partnership with the school district over the years, which I think is really important because for them, it's a chance to bridge history and to learn about it right here in our own city. So I just wanted to thank all of you for your incredible dedication, for the support, for the opportunity to learn about both the Native American history that was here, as well as the rail and how we are able to move forward. So I also wanted to really quickly acknowledge again my council members who are here with me today, as we are looking forward to how we can build the future together, whether it's with housing and with rail and within the community. So thank you, be well, be safe, be healthy, be kind. And I brought my own little whistle. And so I don't know, whenever you're ready, I'm happy to welcome all aboard.
Thank you, Mary. For the ribbon cutting, we'll be doing it in front of a locomotive. If you'd like to walk down a little bit to this area, we'll set up for the cutting, the ceremonial cutting, and we'll do a group countdown. We have our special ceremonial leader.
Oh, my goodness.
Rick? Yeah.
Rick, wait, can we see Rick?
Okay, come here.
Make sure we got you. And then,
Yeah.
Are we all ready? We're all ready. I think the group can help if we do a countdown for the cutting. So everybody, we should do the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Cut.
let's see. This is,
There we go. Almost there. There we go.
got it, you got it. We got it.
Yay! There we go. Let's see.
I don't need my mic. Yeah, that's all right. I know.
Aboard.
All aboard!
Now we get to enjoy a ride on the new track. Please join us on the ramp down here for boarding. All aboard.